Welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust to defer capital gains tax on the sale of highly appreciated assets is an amazing way for you to find a lot of freedom, for you to start your entrepreneurial journey, for you to diversify your wealth, and so much more. Each episode, I'm joined by some of the best real estate, financial, wealth, and leadership minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achieve them. For those who don't know me, my name is Brett Swarts. I'm founder of Capital Gains Tax Solutions. We're also streaming on expert CRE secrets.com as well. And look forward to our next guest, who is out of Atlanta, Georgia area. And we're going to be talking about how to build your real estate business when with virtual assistants. This gentleman has an amazing background in wholesaling. He's like a wholesale samurai. And he was laid off at one point after in 2016, but then he was a six-figure sales executive job. And then he said, you know what? I want to become an entrepreneur. I'm going to change the game for investing and for building wealth. And he wants to help us do the same right now. Please welcome to the show with me, Shaun Young. Shaun, how you doing?
Hey, brother. Thanks for having me, Brett. Thanks for having me.
And for our listeners, get to know you for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Sure, guys. Like Brett was saying, guys, I come from a sales executive background. I was at the top of the top 3% in the nation, guys, for year after year after year. The company was based in Sweden. The CEO decided that he was the owner of the company changed the CEO of North America. That new CEO brought in his whole new sales force, project managers, which meant 750 of us in North America were out of there. I told myself at that point, I will never, ever be at the mercy of a job again. So that's what got me into real estate, guys. I dove head first in.
Awesome, Shaun. And for our listeners, one of the major questions we ask is a strengths question, which kind of basically is go back to Shaun when he was younger, right? Maybe the high school days. I believe we've all been given certain gifts, and these gifts have been given to us to be a blessing and help to others. What would you say those one or two gifts you believe you were given? Maybe it's called a superpower, a strength, right? What do you think you've been given, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
Well, one of the superpowers that I definitely feel I have is communication. I feel like I have the ability to communicate and build rapport with pretty much anybody. I had the privilege to have a military father, so I've lived all over the country. I lived all over the world, and so by the time I was 18, I was very well-rounded, so to speak.
Amazing. That's fantastic communication. And I can also speak to that. I was on your podcast just last week. And I was just telling you before the show, I feel like it's one of the best I've ever been on for your ability to ask great questions and to dive in deep on what we were talking about. So excited to dive right into the show right now, which is building your real estate business with virtual assistants. But I imagine this could apply to really any business, but we're going to focus like a laser right now. By the way, if you want to learn more about Shaun Young and dive in, you can go to nationwiderealestatemastery.com. That's nationwiderealestatemastery.com. But Shaun, let's start with the number one secret to building your real estate business with virtual assistants. What is that?
The number one secret is to hire a professionally trained virtual assistant. First of all, you got to get it in your mind that you need one. That's the first thing. Once you understand that you can't scale by yourself, that you've got to get out of your own way. Next is finding a qualified, professionally trained virtual assistant, or it's a waste of time.
Okay, so let's start with that. Okay, this is really good, right? Because you said a couple of things. A, make sure you need one. By the way, if you're listening to this right now and you don't think you need one, you need one. Just you need one. Okay. And don't get overwhelmed with how it's all going to go down and what's all going to happen and all the details. Like that's the biggest thing is paralysis analysis. We can do a whole nother show on that, but you need one. Start right now. You're too late. You're already wasting your time and your energy that you could be helping somebody, build, their career, but at the same time, unlock the gifts you've been given. So let's establish that. But Shaun, I actually want to focus, because if you don't know that by now, go listen to a bunch of other podcasts. But right now I want to focus on that professionally trained one. I think that's so big. So walk us through that idea, Shaun. Professionally trained, what does that mean precisely?
Our VAs go through a 3-step onboarding process, guys. For one, they've got to have a 4-year degree. They've got to have particular internet connection requirements. That's huge, guys. If you've not ran into that, you've just not tried it yet. So you'll run into that issue. Internet's down, can't connect. So we ensure that they've got the experience that's needed. We ensure that they've got a great accent and they have ongoing accent coaching. And guys, they have to have a positive attitude. All of the VAs that I work with are all dedicated to my company's success 100%. That's the type of attitude that you need for yourself as well. If they're working for you from 1 to 4, or from 1 to 5, and then from 5 to 9 to work for somebody else, that's not what you want. So you want to have someone who's dedicated to you. That's what separates a professional virtual assistant versus just you hiring someone, let's say, off of Fiverr. And there's nothing wrong with that if you just need one-off tasks. But if you want a team member, you need a professionally trained virtual assistant.
Okay, so let's break it down. So first thing is 4-year degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think number 2 or one of them, you said they're going to be dedicated 100% to you, right? Not working multiple hustles, right? Mm-hmm. And then they have good. I think what you were saying, good English communication, right? Where they're able to communicate well and don't have, maybe if they have an accent, they're getting accent training to make sure that they're improving that communication. Am I missing any of what you just said right there, or is that a fair summary?
Yeah, you're right on board. You're spot on.
Okay. What talks to the accent training? Okay, what does that look like? Who's doing that? Are you doing that, or is someone else doing that?
No, we actually have a coach that does that. We have an accent coach that's dedicated. That's their specialty. That they help folks out with accents. So they train our trainers. They train our team. They bring on, they have sessions with virtual assistants who might have a heavier accent up front, but they've got the skills set for sure that we need in our organization. So it's a great benefit for us. But I can tell you that most of our virtual assistants that work for our company, they just sound like they're regular folks from California or something.
I'm curious, when you in, that's amazing. I love that you took the train them, right? Because if you're not training and coaching your VAs, you can't imagine that they're gonna show up. Although, you did say they're already professionally trained before they showed up, right? Or at least some training, right? Mm-hmm. In that area. In other words, make sure they have expertise and they've been doing the thing that you're hiring them to do. You're not having to start from scratch. However, you're going to be training the accent. Am I missing that? Am I way off there, or what?
Yeah, the accent is an ongoing training. Mm-hmm. Your VA is monitored and managed by us throughout the entire process that you're with us. So you're not just thrown a virtual assistant and left alone. We're actually helping you out with that process to, again, manage and monitor that virtual assistant. So that's where that comes in play.
That's really cool. I love that. I think that's great. Okay, so 4-year degree, ongoing accent training. Make sure that they are getting training or ongoing training, right? And then I think third party is important too, right? Because what you're saying is that allows the person to I guess, kind of take it off their plate. Is that a fair summary, Shaun? Or walk me through what you meant by that, how that works.
Say that question again.
So just the third party group, like you guys helping to do that or doing that, like walk through, I guess, your service and how that looks.
The accent coaching?
No, like your service. Not like you have a service for VAs.
Gotcha. I totally understood. Yeah. Guys, yes, my apologies, guys. With the virtual assistant, the way that our business works, you want to look at it like a Match.com type of a scenario. We sit down with you, we have a session with you, figure out what are your needs, and we match the needs to our virtual assistant skill set. So we don't just, again, we're not just throwing you someone who can, do something that you don't need them to do. We ensure that the skill set that you're looking for, they have that already as part of their talents.
Excellent. How about the dedicated 100%, right? Because I've had virtual assistants over the years. And you're right. Sometimes they interview really well. And then all of a sudden you find out pretty quickly that they're splitting their time and their energy. So what's the number one secret to helping them to, I guess, be so attracted to you that they are going to be willing to be dedicated to you, right? Because perhaps in the past, the people who brought them on weren't necessarily dedicated to them. And so perhaps they're, diversifying their efforts until they know. But what's that secret to getting that buy-in and seeing that vision and helping them go all in?
Great questions, Brett. Great questions. The number one thing that we do, guys, is we pay our virtual assistants well. We pay them well, so we attract high quality folks from the jump. That's number one. Number two is that we ensure that all of our virtual assistants, all of our clients know that our virtual assistants are with them for a minimum of 20 hours per week. 20 to 40 hours is the max, of course, but a minimum of 20 hours. That, again, it entices and it's a part of our policy, but it keeps the virtual assistant wanting to work for you because they're going to be making good money during that 20-hour minimum time period. So it's a no-brainer on why they're dedicated to you. They don't have to go get a side hustle. They're 100% working for you.
Excellent. So pay them well. I guess maybe define that. What is, and by the way, are these virtual assistants international or are they domestic? Like, are they a mix? What's kind of the rhythm there?
Another great question, guys. Actually, I partner with the largest call center in the Philippines to create my own agency out there. So my virtual assistants are based in the Philippines. They are sourced from the Philippines.
Excellent. So Philippines, great. And then
100%.
What's paying well then, Shaun? What would that look like?
Well, guys, our service is $8 per hour for a virtual assistant. You'll find when I say pay well, that's because that allows us to pay them well. You'll find a lot of services out there where it's $4 and $3 an hour. And I want you to consider that the agency is going to make a portion of that money, and then the virtual assistant will make another portion of that money, which will be very minimum. So why would they be motivated or dedicated to ensure that your company is seeing success when they're not even happy as an employee on a daily basis? So we figured that out very quickly, and we pay well.
Got it. Okay. So you're leaving enough margin so that the training and the coaching gets a cut, and the virtual assistant. So that's the key. So from the start, excellent. Well, those are, man, what questions haven't I asked yet that I should be asking, Shaun?
Well, I mean, you're right on spot, man. You're asking all the great questions. What do you look for when you're going for a virtual assistant? And some of the things, again, guys, is, are they going to be dedicated to you? How many hours can they work? If you're not going with our company, how would they be, trained? How are you going to communicate with them on a daily basis? Guys, when you come into our organization or with REI World Solutions, your virtual assistant is going to check in with you every morning. Hey, how's it going? I'm here. During their shift, they're available to communicate with you back and forth as well. At the end of their shift, they're going to give you a report every day. Here's what I've done today. I've made, 400 calls. We've got 30 contacts and we've got 2 leads out of that. Whatever the case is, you'll get a daily report on that. At the end of the week, you'll get a weekly summarized report as well. At the end of the month, you'll get a monthly summarized report. So it helps you track your key performance indicators. It helps you understand exactly where your business is at all times with the help of that virtual assistant.
Excellent. So let's talk about the actual building of the real estate part of the business, right? So what have you found the top 3 you want to just narrow down? Like, hey, if you were starting from scratch, Shaun, right? And you're like, I need to get my first 3 virtual assistants. Who would they be, in what order to build your real estate business?
Guys, you're going to need someone to help you out with cold calling. That's number 1. And basic admin tasks. You're going to need somebody to help you out with marketing next. And you're going to need someone to help you out with sales.
Okay. So I got cold calling number 1. So all they do is cold call to
outreach. Yep. Cold call.
Outreach, have people raise their hands. Keep going.
Yep. They do follow up, outreach, texting, text blasting, following up on voicemails, emails, any type of outreach, in follow up. All that stuff is handled by the virtual assistant.
Okay. So that's the cold calling. That's the one outreach. And then the admin task person, that's just any kind of task, right? Anything that needs to be done. They're full-time. One's full-time here, one full-time there, right? Am I right on those 2 so far?
You're 100%. But the first one, the cold caller, actually can be split as an admin person as well. They can start as a cold caller, and then we'll move them into an admin task. All of our virtual assistants are usually starting like that from day one. They'll spend 3 hours if they're on a 4-hour daily shift. They'll spend 3 hours cold calling, doing outreach, and they'll spend 1 hour doing admin or follow-up tasks. And an admin task could encompass a number of things, such as market research, running comps, sending out agreements, following up. All of those things encompass the admin task time.
Got it. So 3 hours of cold call, 1 minute of admin with the follow-up, market research task. Got it. And so they're kind of one in this. But you also want a full-time admin, executive assistant for just whatever else you're doing too. Is that the second hire?
Yes, that would be like the marketing person, and you want them to be your executive assistant 100%. That the person who I hired for my company has been with me from day one. She started off as just like that. She started out as my marketing assistant, and she quickly showed and proved that she was, of higher caliber. And we moved her quickly into to be my executive assistant. And since then, she's helped me pretty much run everything. She is my left, right. My both hands. She's my left hand.
Kind of like an operations manager, executive assistant, kind of. That's
Indeed.
kind of. So start says marketing, kind of, and marketing would be maybe social media. It would be proposals. It would be
book podcasts, things of that nature for you. Things of that nature for me and my business. For a regular person that's out there, in wholesaling or doing any type of creative real estate, it could be, the admin tasks could just be doing research, texting, follow up, anything that requires them to be off of the phone. Those are admin tasks.
Got it. All right, now let's move into sales, right? Because this sounds like it's probably the holy grail. If you can find an amazing sales professional that you can pay what's great money for them, but perhaps the hardest to find. So talk us through how you have that sales professional that's virtual.
You are 100% right. That's why we have that as the third hire, because we want to ensure that you as a client either understand that position or have that nailed down before you're managing that position, because we're really, that's acquisitions, guys. That's your acquisition manager. It's going to be very hard to understand what that process is like if you haven't been through a few repetitions yourself. Of course, we manage and help you with that process throughout the entire way, but we definitely want you to understand that that's something that you should understand as well to be the best that you can be in your business, is the acquisition piece.
Okay. And what does that look like on a day-to-day, like the breakdown versus like a cold caller?
Sure. Acquisitions, guys, once the cold caller sends those leads over and someone who's raised their hand that says, hey, I'm willing to do business. Now that acquisitions manager takes the ball from that point and they're moving it to the finish line, which is getting a signed agreement.
Okay. So more like a conversion manager, right? So someone's already warmed up the lead. They're converting it to a signed agreement is what success looks like for them. How many of these 100 leads that came over the past 2 months did they go to actually a signed agreement? Is that a fair summary?
Fair summary. That's it.
Okay. And how are you training those people, right? Because it seems like that would be that's like, that can really accelerate the business, right? Because there's only so many leads that so many people can take. So if you're running the show yourself, then you get that acquisitions manager, you get the leads coming in, then it can really start to exponentially grow. Is that a fair summary too, Shaun?
That is 100% a fair summary. And that's the need, again, for the acquisitions manager, because you can only do so much. Even when it comes to the follow-up piece, you can only do so much follow-up on your own, especially if your lead manager is doing what he or she is brought there to do, which is give you leads. You're going to need to manage those leads, and they can pile up pretty quickly.
And that seems like the hardest one to give up, Shaun. Like as far as the delegating, like, yeah, I can delegate my marketing. I can even delegate the cold calls because most people don't like the cold call. Yeah, I can delegate reaching out to the emails. But that acquisitions manager, tell me, Shaun, what was the biggest secret to releasing the control on that?
Wow, that was the hardest for me personally. I'm glad you mentioned that. That was literally the hardest to relinquish, because I thought I was so good at sales. I thought, oh, no one's going to be as sharp as me. They're going to drop the ball right. I'm going to waste these leads. No, none of that. That was the furthest from the truth, guys. That was the furthest from the truth. Of course, if you're 100%, you don't expect someone to be at 100. Understand they'll probably be at 80 or 90% of what you are. But that's good enough. That's what's needed. You don't need to create a mini me or mini you in order to replace yourself. Allow someone, teach someone, train someone, and allow them to do their job.
Fantastic. Shaun Young, you've been through like rapid fire. We did usually like 3 questions, you've been like 20 here. By the way, if you want to connect with Shaun, and you should be connecting with Shaun, you should be motivated and inspired to get your virtual assistants going, to build your real estate business. Go to nationwiderealestatemastry.com. That's nationwiderealestatemastry.com. Are you ready for the lightning round, Shaun?
Let's go. Let's do it.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget make sure to tell yourself to do?
Invest in real estate now.
Mm-hmm. And hire that virtual assistant tomorrow or yesterday.
Exactly. The next day. Indeed.
Second question. What's the number one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
Rhinoceros Success.
I love that. That's my favorite. It's like one of my favorite books. I just keep rereading it.
It's an awesome book.
Yep. What's your favorite part of that? I got to ask you now. Like, what's the one thing and you're just like, gosh, I love that.
It's just such a happy, like, feeling type of book. And it puts things into funny perspectives, like saying, hey, listen, cows keep their head down. They're all day, eating in the grass. That's why they don't see opportunities. You got to lift your head up, be a rhino, charge at what you're charging at, let those torpedoes hit you. They're going to bounce off. It's just such a funny, he explains it in such a funny way. I love it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Rhinoceros Success. Pick up that book if you haven't read it yet. You'll be glad you did. Next question. What are you most curious about right now? AI technology has my interest. 100%. I'm in it all day long, every day. How are you using ChatGPT and your assistants using it?
Well, we use it right now to help with marketing, with coming up with taglines for our Facebook ads, TikTok, titles for videos, titles for show. I mean, we actually used it to write an ebook. we wrote an ebook with it very, very quickly and use it as a lead magnet. And so we're all over it. We're using Chat GPT to its fullest, at least as far as we know. We're still learning those prompts, but we're using it.
Absolutely. So as I'm thinking about hiring a Chat GPT coach, if they're even out there yet. So
yeah, they'll be there soon. Trust me. You know how it goes. They'll be there soon.
Yep. Last question, Shaun. After all your success, helping all the people you've helped, building the business you have, curious, what's the number one habit that you practice to stay centered in your values and stay encouraged to charge forward to reach new heights?
Is to remember, guys, one thing that I do is I stay disciplined and dedicated. Discipline over motivation all day. You've got to be disciplined because you're not going to be motivated every day. There's going to be days that you're like, I don't know, but you've got to be disciplined and dedicated to do it anyway. Get the job done anyway, guys. That's been my secret sauce. That's what keeps me consistent, is just doing what needs to be done regardless of how I feel about it.
Shaun Young, I want to thank you for being on the show. I want to thank you for all that you're doing to help people build their businesses. I want to encourage you to keep using your gift of communication and encouraging and inspiration. All of the above. I think you have all of those gifts to help people create and preserve more wealth and build their businesses. Could you remind them one last time before we let you go, what's the best place for people to find you if they want to reach out to you?
Guys, the best place to find me is at nationwiderealestatemastery.com. If you're looking for a professionally trained virtual assistant, head on over to reiworldsolutions.com.
Perfect.
We'll take great care of you.
Awesome. Thanks, Shaun. I want to thank our listeners for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, also streaming on Expert CRE Secrets, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Also, sometimes they struggle with clarifying how to scale their business and to free up their time and their energy to help more people. You want to check out Shaun Young for sure for virtual assistants as well. If you need any help or want to learn more about how to defer capital gains tax, not using a 1031, so you can get freedom from the 1031 exchange to create and preserve more wealth, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. It's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Thanks so much for watching another episode. Please share the love by sharing this with someone it could help out today.